Long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Wait, stop! A long time ago, in the glen, not very far from where we're sitting now, lived a people who prospered. They were a community. They farmed the land and fished the rivers, and they hunted in their woods. It was plentiful and bountiful. There were hard times and there were good times, but they kept together as a community of spirits. They celebrated life, they did, everything that comes with it, and were better off for it. Years and years went by, and they prospered well. But on a fateful day, in the middle of summer, when the sun was at its highest point in the sky and they were celebrating midsummer, the children playing in the water and the old gaffers drinking their pints under the shades of the old apple trees, a nice man, he came along, and he had gold in his pockets. He was giving it out freely, especially to people who had nice things that he might want to purchase. This continued until one day they realised that he was buying their homes. It seemed like an awfully good offer. He was giving them gold, and they were giving his house, but they could still live in it. And then they realised he owned their houses, and he owned the land. But, fortunately for them, there was one woman who would not sell her stuff. She saw right through this scheming man, and she refused. She refused to sell her little cottage, her little healer's cottage, where all the sick children and all the men with old backache, they would come along and they would get healed by her because she was the wise woman. People said that she had lived for thousands of years, and no one knew who her parents were, so it must be true. Well, this guy, he didn't like it. He didn't like the fact that she refused to sell to him. She was the only part of the land that he did not own. Every time that she went round, she would blank him and give him evils. Then, one fateful winter eve, the villagers, they saw a glow coming from the cabin, and when they went out to see what it was, they realised the entire thing was on fire, burning and churning. Great gouts of flame licked the sky, and that cottage was burnt to ash, along with the woman inside. Oh, how the villagers mourned. They wept, they cried all night, and when the fire it was done and burnt to embers, they went home to their children and their wives and husbands, and they said what had happened, and they said it must have been an accident. The old woman must have been getting old, but we know better. It was the landowner, the nice guy who had been buying up everyone's land and giving them treasures and trinkets. He had finally got what he wanted. And now the valley and the dale and all of the land around was his. He revelled in it. And, in penance, he decided to bury the old woman for the villagers. But he was a cheapskate, a scoundrel, and he dug the grave shallow, and wasn't human enough to go and see her buried. He was evil at heart. Ooh, oh, 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 oh. The next day, villagers saw a fox. It travelled through the village, and as they followed it, it led them to her grave, and there it curled up and fell asleep in the afternoon sun. An omen, they thought. But what could it mean? For the weeks following, the landowner, he heard dogs, his hounds, they were howling, and all of the poultry and the horses whickered. What could this mean? He had no idea. So he got one of his servants to go have a look one night. And what do you see? You see a fox with a black tail, harassing all of the animals and making them in such a frenzy that it kept the landowner up all night. So the following day he thought, enough is enough. I'm going to go and catch that fox, and I'm going to hang its filthy hide on my wall. So he got his hunting party ready, and they set out, hounds in the lead with the horses behind. And they picked up the scent of the black fox. Over the hill they followed it, and down into a riverbed, where it tried to lose them, but the hounds were too good. Onwards they carried, up onto a tor where clouds were glooming overhead. But the hunter, he wanted his quarry, he didn't heed the warnings. And as he breasted the hill, the rain began to spit. The wind, it howled and hurricaned up around him. He found himself in the gloom, in the rain, in the wind, and cracks of lightning falling around him. He was scared, and suddenly a flash of lightning hit him in the chest, and all was black and misty and dark. And when he came to, he was on the ground. All around him were stones in the shape of his hounds and his horses, and he paid the price for being an evil man.